like a threat. And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. Can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well. Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Wanna be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Spots is taken care of right off the top. Bull, Bitcoin, and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop. It doesn't matter what topics discussed. Quality entertainment and information you can trust.
That's being planned or at least discussed. You know, we're not going to allow
quality entertainment and information you can trust. Send the guy some value, boost them with some sats. Bitcoin is a scarcity asset. I mean, it's just a fact. Geopolitical, national, down to the local cloud.
Friends and enemies, welcome back to the Canadian Bitcoiners podcast. My name is Joey. That's Len. Did you see that the Bilderberg meetings are this week?
Yeah, and our esteemed former finance minister and current trade minister is now there.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I never heard of Bilderberg until 2 days ago.
Come on, Len.
Yeah, and it's a rabbit hole I choose not to go down. I don't give a rat's ass about this. I don't care. I honestly just don't. No, because whatever happens, happens.
Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, it's out of my control. Maybe they're just a bunch of good folks over there.
Maybe.
Playing checkers or chess. Cribbage.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, maybe a little Mario Kart World Tour. I mean, that's new. They might like that. They probably got their hands on a few Switch 2s, right? They didn't have to wait in line at Walmart for those.
Have you opened yours?
Yeah, I've played it. It's great. The Tears of the Kingdom on it is outstanding. I'm like back in on that game after being out for a long time just because I didn't have a lot of spare time. I still don't, but I'm trying to, at my wife's behest, trying to spend less time listening to Black Pill podcasts and more time, playing downtime doing stuff that I enjoy. Yeah, it's fun. Like it's with my little one around. Most of my free time is now spoken for, which is great. But there's still a few hours in the morning, a few hours at night where if you're not careful, you will get wrapped up in Black Pill content nonstop. There's so much of it out there. So anyway, it's good to be back with you Monday night. Lots to talk about. Not too many Bitcoin stories today. A lot more notable stories, as we call them. Yeah, lots to talk about.
We'll do what we can to fill the Bitcoin segment up. I'm sure we have something that's up our sleeves.
Yeah. I'm happy to stretch some of that stuff. Let's talk about the sponsors first. EasyDNS, your friendly neighborhood registrar. Mark and team are the only place where you should be hosting your domain. Why? Well, there's a couple reasons, really. One is that Mark is, as stand-up guy as you're ever going to find. Takes Bitcoin for the services, which is outstanding. Len, there's DomainSure, EasyMail, and other sort of add-ons as far as security you can pick up for a couple bucks from Mark when you're using EasyDNS. We use EasyDNS for our website for the podcast, which very rarely updated. Updated about as often as Len looks at the Bilderberg meeting Wikipedia page, which is to say not that often. But all the same, we've never had a problem, and I know you guys are using Mark as well and are not having problems either.
Is that Build-A-Bear?
It's not. Be careful searching for those things together. I don't know what kind of results those might yield. But anyway.
Have you ever been to a Build-A-Bear?
Yeah, sure. There was one in Lime Mall when I was a kid.
Okay. Yeah.
Harmless. If you're looking for virtual private server stuff, Mark's got you covered there too. Easy stuff over on EasyDNS, whether it's Bitcoin Node, Nostr, Relay, BTC Pay server, you name it, pal. He's got it. And we want to make sure that all of you are using EasyDNS for your registrar needs. CBP Media is the code, 50% off first round of buys. You guys know the deal. And Mark will take care of you. That's where you want to be. Who's the second sponsor?
Bull Bitcoin, Joey. It's Bull Bitcoin. I don't know what the price of Bitcoin is right now, so I'm sure it's a good price to buy, good time to sell, whatever you think is good to do. They have you covered on-chain, Lightning, whatever you want. But you know what? The blocks are not full. The blocks are really empty, in fact. So doing on-chain is definitely the way to go right now. You still want to learn how to do your Lightning buys with Bull Bitcoin. They're non-custodial. This is what you want in an exchange. You don't want to deal with any of these exchanges that hold on to your Bitcoin. Well, who knows what to do with it? It could be paper. It could be who the heck knows. When you buy from Bull, they send it to you immediately. You can't facilitate the buy without providing a valid Bitcoin address or any Bitcoin address. It doesn't have to be valid. They'll send it to that anyways. Make sure it's your own address you're sending it to, or else it's going to be lost in the sauce. The other things you could do, DCA, it's available. You know, did DCA
just came
buy?
back. Yeah, the big return of DCA. Yeah.
Yeah, it's available for people out there. And if you want to send your Bitcoin to somebody through an e-transfer, you could do that. There's a lot of different things you could do over there. Pay bills with your Bitcoin. Check them out. Use our code if you haven't opened an account. They're available in Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, but several countries in Europe. People are using it. I use it. Joey uses it. You should too. Check them out.
No brainer, really. Len, where do you want to start here with the boosts? You want to do some boosts? Yeah. Okay.
Boosting it is. So number one, because we got a last minute entry to kick somebody out. Wartime 333 sats. He said cheers. I'm still throwing it in there. I don't care. Wartime, thanks for the sats. Doug 615 sats. Is this Doug and Ruben?
Gotta be.
Or just Doug? So did Joey just open himself up to being DM'd by every would-be Bitcoin author asking, can you buy a copy of my book? Great show.
If you come on the show and I find your content interesting, I am happy to buy your book. I mean, like, I don't know about you, Len. I'm not quite like the voracious reader I was years ago because, like I said, I just don't have that much time now. But I mean, like most adult males, I find my quiet time on the toilet, and there's no better place to read than on the toilet. So if you want to be with me while I'm pinching a loaf in spirit, this is the way to do it. Write a book, come on the show, and I'm happy to read it while I see how my digestive system is working. And you know what? By the way, there's a lot of research that shows this whole like shower thoughts thing is really something that holds true. When you're in a situation where you're just kind of doing something that requires no additional thinking or consideration, you will absorb information more and have the creative spark a little more as well. So, you know, shower thoughts obviously is the sort of term, but you know, I would say the shitty thoughts are just as good. So if you want to be on the can with me, write a book and come on the show. We're happy to have you, man. Of course, no doubt about it.
What if it's a novella? Like, what if it's something with a pamphlet? Like, how? Like, what will you go?
No, it's got to be at least. Hold on. What's Mark Goodwin's book is probably like 100-ish pages, maybe. The Bitcoin Dollar, and the pages are only this big. They're very small pages. It's like a
single space.
It's like a funnies pud you used to get in your double bubble gum. So if you can write at least that much, then I will read it. And you know, I'll leave it in my washroom too. Other people will probably read it while they're doing their business. Trying to orange pill as many people as I can while they clean the pipes, as they say.
Dan Wedge, 1,000 sats.
Wedge has been sending me sats on Noster, and I don't know how to like see where he's writing his message. I'm trying to look at my wallet of Satoshi, but it doesn't say anything. So I don't know what to do.
There wouldn't be, it would be part of a note, and from that, a note that you wrote, and he would zap that.
Oh, okay.
So, and he actually writes kind of with response to what you just said, or in connection to, says, Joey doesn't even know how to zap.
I don't. On my camera. Oh no. What happened?
That was me.
See what's happening.
Anyways. Yeah, no, you're going in, and that's okay. Don't worry. We'll just make do with Jer 2,000 sats. I missed a couple of weeks trying to catch up. Since our stuff is very topical, it's like listening to our stuff from a couple of weeks ago. I guess it's informative to a degree.
Yeah, it'd still be good, I think.
Yeah,
most of the time we talk about stuff that's like, especially in the Bitcoin side of things, you know, even if you're a month behind, I would say you're still going to get value from listening to what we talk about. It's never clickbait. It's never nonsense. You're never going to see me screaming at you about how many Bitcoin you need to retire, other stupid shit like that. So,
well, what is the number? Have we established?
I don't know. It's different all the time. But the thing is that I can't see it anymore because Luke is telling all these guys to blur out the number in the thumbnail. So I don't know. I have to watch the video.
I have
know
to,
I want to get on the show.
I know that number.
Speaking of this, TXMC, who is very popular on Bitcoin Twitter for his charting and you know, sort of I don't want to call them like economics takes, but they're certainly data takes. He seems to also be tired of the bullshit in the content world. So I might message him and send him a quick DM like, hey, why don't you want to vent for a bit? I got a place you can do it. Come on, RR. We talk about this shit all the time, man.
Yeah. Like-minded thoughts. Business Cat, 5,000 sats.
Busy.
Shout out to the mother-in-laws keeping the Bitcoin men afloat. And I think this is with respect to you when your mother-in-law was watching your little one.
She is right now. She comes over every Monday night. Yeah. God bless her. She's incredible. We're going through a bathroom rental right now. And so my wife, my dog, and my daughter are going over to my mother and father-in-law's, my in-laws' house, not far from us, a couple of blocks, every morning at 7:30 a.m. And they've been great for the last week, and obviously before that too, but coming up especially big over the last week, and especially big over the week or so to come while the reno finishes. It's not that intrusive in terms of like my life, but it's too loud for the baby to sleep. So have to relocate to make sure that the naps stay on track.
In an Italian household, that's what you call background noise. The louder the better. It's kind of like a lullaby. Jer, 5,000 sats. Thank you again. This is he's sent 2,000 now 5,000. I appreciate you both.
Love you, Jer.
That's it for the sats. The boost.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Housekeeping. Last week we didn't do an interview. I don't know if we're gonna do one this week. I'm kind of looking at Len. Maybe he'll do one. Maybe he won't. But
I invited that professor dude.
What do you say?
That some professor I tried to invite here. Now I fucking forget.
We have another huge name in the hopper that maybe I'll reach out to. I still haven't reached out to, but I sort of have a.
This professor was saying about immigrants don't contribute to the unemployment.
I tweeted
situation.
him, Mikkel, right? Yeah.
So I invited him. He said thanks for no thanks.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. We have like a huge name in the hopper that I have to reach out to. He's easily the most famous person in my phone now. So I will maybe think about that for the summer, and then
a big thanks to that. Just in case.
Huge thanks, yeah, huge
to that
thanks.
person.
And I still haven't reached out, so don't. Yeah, it's not that I've forgotten. It's that I want to make sure I have half an hour to an hour where I can take a call if one comes in, if I leave a message or something, and also to speak to somebody for that long. I want to give this person more than just a few minutes because they deserve it, and I'm sure they are also used to it, which they've earned. So thinking about that. Side note, housekeeping. Mark Jeftovic was on Geopolitics and Empire with friend of the show Hervoye Morich last week. It was a good episode. I have to say, I listened to a lot of podcasts, obviously, and I was listening to that one while I was doing some foam rolling before football on Saturday morning. I often find myself, when I listen to appearances Mark does on podcasts where it's not just like all Bitcoin, I find myself like thinking about books that he's mentioning to read, which I don't often think about. Mark is pretty well read, and having I think now enough experience in Bitcoin and related economics topics, I kind of want to branch out into some other stuff on the reading side. And so if you're looking for adjacent topics that you might find interesting or relevant to stuff like Bitcoin, hard money, fourth turning, all that, I think Mark is a guy you could ask for recommendations. I mean, I'm not saying you should all direct message him, but maybe I'll tell him to put a reading list on the Crypto Capitalist or Bitcoin Capitalist newsletter and get people reading. There's so much going on, Len, in terms of like politics and like soft and hard power being used and deployed all over the world these days, that it's a good time to be well read. And I feel like over the last year, I've kind of let slip some of the standard reading I used to do every week. And so I want to get back into it for my benefit and for the benefit of our listeners and viewers too.
All right. We'll dive right into it or what?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's hit it.
All right. So what do we have we have quite a few stories. Cove?
I would love to do Cove. Praveen is a friend of ours. The Cove wallet finally hit the App Store. Version 1.0.1, I think, is out now because he made some changes to the GUI, right?
That was today. It was 1.0, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
I could be, but 1.0.1 came out today to fix some small, tiny little errors.
Yeah.
You talked to Praveen.
Yeah.
You discussed with him. It left beta.
Yeah.
Now officially in the App Store.
It was great in beta. It was really good in beta. It's good now. This is easily, to me, the best mobile wallet. It works with your hardware wallet if you want. So I think on the show we assigned. It was after the show. I think I went to grab my queue and we put some Bitcoin on there and did it. Maybe it was during the show. I forget. But it took like all of 2 minutes to do, because Cove works really well with the queue and the camera and the QR codes and all this stuff. You can't really beat this, and I commend Praveen, because in a place where everyone, oh fuck, look at this. How did he get this link? In a time where everyone is doing all kinds of nonsense, I applaud Praveen for not starting a Bitcoin treasury company instead, which would have been easier to get funding for than his wallet.
So this was a planned thing. I wanted to surprise you and everybody that Praveen is coming on, because Cove is now officially live on the App Store. Praveen, the man that's behind the Cove wallet project, thank you for joining us today again.
Thank you. I will walk into nice things being said about me. How nice.
Well, maybe you could talk us and tell us exactly where we are at with Cove, because there was an update today, 1.0.1 that came out today. Maybe you could just give us what's the latest update, what Cove really is, who it's going to be for, and maybe future roadmap, what's going to be coming on.
Sounds good. So the latest update, it's just a few bug fixes. After 1.0, there's just like some visual stuff, smaller phones, just edge cases people run into. So that was a small update. But Cove, for those that don't know, is basically we're trying to be the goal is to be the best on-chain mobile wallet. And to do that, we want to focus on just being on-chain, nothing too fancy, no multi-sig, no lightning. So Cove, I say Cove is just as much about what Cove does Cove is about as much as what it doesn't do as what it does, right? So we're never going to do lightning, never going to do multi-sig, but we want to be the best simple, just on-chain wallet, right? And then we want to be simple but powerful. So there's like some simple ones, but that you can't use your hardware wallet with, for example, or it's hard to connect your own node, stuff like that, right? So we want to be simple for newcomers, but we don't want that people, as they learn more about Bitcoin and grow in their Bitcoin journey, we don't want them to have to switch to another wallet. So because of that, I built it for me as much as anyone else. So I wanted it to have all the features that I use, right? So I can connect it to my own node, for example. I can do UTXO management, which is huge. So before Cove, I was using Green Wallet, which was like the nicest looking iOS wallet, like one of them. I know people like Blue, but I wasn't a fan. But the problem with Green was you couldn't use it with like Cold Card. It didn't have PSBT support, right? So I mostly use Cold Card, so that's the hardware wallet I added like full support for first. So works with the Q1, MK4, MK3, NFC, QR code, they're standard, and also have support for Tap Signer. I don't know if you guys use the Tap Signer. It's pretty nice.
I have used it.
Yeah.
So it's working with that. The other thing Green didn't have was basically UTXO management, right? So you couldn't select which UTXOs to send from. So I was actually pretty happy with how the UTXO management stuff came out, because you can search for the UTXOs by like all these different types of stuff. You can really, because like you got to work with like the small mobile screen, So I tried my best with that. Find the UTXOs you want, select them, and then send a custom amount. You can do consolidation transactions and stuff like that.
And your UTXO tags transfer, right?
Yes. So so there's a standard called BIP 329, which is the label standard. So Sparrow uses that, and basically you can. If I use Sparrow on the desktop, so I needed a way to basically transfer the two easily. So you can use files, but the nice thing is also Craig Raw added support for transferring using QR codes. So on Sparrow, you can go and hit export and say BBQR export, and you just scan that from Cove like it's any other QR.
Huge.
And it'll bring all the QR, all the labels over. Basically.
It's sick. I have two questions for you. The first one is, I noticed when you released 1.0.1, you mentioned in the tweet, or the Cove account mentioned in the tweet, which is an account people should follow. I think it's just Cove Bitcoin Wallet, maybe. I don't want to fuck that up, but you mentioned that you're going to do
wallet.
Cove Wallet, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to do the change logs on Git as opposed to in the App Store. Do I have that right? Are you going to do it both places?
It's in both places, but if you go to GitHub, the link is in my website, I think the reason you thought it was Cove Bitcoin Wallet is because that's the website,
You're right. It is. Yeah.
covebitcoinwallet.com.
Yeah.
The link to GitHub is there in the footer, but basically there's just like one big change log file that has all the changes, and from the it's just easier to refer to one file. But if you have it on your on the App Store on your phone, you'll see it on there too. Like every time you get an update, it'll be the same information. It's just how you wanna read it basically.
Oh, that's great because people obviously in Bitcoin want to know that. Second question: how does it feel to be famous? You did Bitcoin review with MVK. I didn't listen to it yet. Is it more or less than 4 hours? I need to know that before I hop on to listen to that.
I think the reason Bitcoin reviews are short. This one was only I think an hour and a half or less, maybe hour 15. Yeah.
Okay.
We go into a lot about what Cove does and is and all that.
That is not a short Bitcoin review, by the way. The early Bitcoin reviews, like, you'd put it on to go to sleep. It'd still be on when you woke up. So yeah, MVK shortened it up a lot over the last few months.
I like old long ones.
Oh, we'll do this for a few hours then. Does it do passphrases?
Not yet. You mean like a hot wallet where you can add a passphrase to it? Yeah, not yet, but that's in the roadmap. So talking about roadmap, I think the thing that that's most requested has been Android. So that's coming, but it's gonna take a little time. I'm taking a little break from it right now just because I worked for a year. So, but once I get back to it, that'll be the first thing I work on. But basically, this is a full native wallet. There's no JavaScript. It's all written in like iOS, Swift, like their language.
Yeah.
I try to do as much of it in like I try to make it easy to build for Android, but I still have to build a UI separately. So that's why it's going to take a little longer. There's other technologies people use that you can basically have the Android and iOS app at the same time. But there's trade-offs that come with it. Sometimes they're slower. Sometimes they don't look like they belong on the platform.
Yeah.
So I really wanted, like for the iOS app, I wanted it to look like, okay, has Apple made an app, a wallet app? What would it look like? And I don't know if it's that like if we got there, but I think it's pretty nice looking. There's definitely some improvements we want to make, especially with like their new design language is changing and all that. But so Android #1 probably requested feature. What else is there? People want more privacy features like pay join, silent payments, but probably a loud minority. But it's those are nice features to add as well. I have to check my list. I have a whole list of. Another thing I want to do is make it easier to connect to your nodes, like at home. There's also this thing called compact block filters. We're basically right now, if you don't connect your own node, you have to use a public node, right? Mm-hmm. So this is just a different way of getting transactions that's much more privacy focused. So instead of sending individual addresses to these nodes, you kind of get them block by block. So then it's hard to say, like, no one will know, like, from your IP address, like, oh, which transactions are his, right? Because you grab an entire block. So there are trade-offs, but like it can be slower. But if you don't have your own node at home or don't have a way to connect to it, this is definitely a nice alternative. So
I have never heard of this in my life. Len, you're like the node master. You've never said this to me once on this show.
I've never heard of it because for me to connect to my node, I don't have to deal with this bullshit.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep in this, but like, this is something that people are asking for?
Well, they don't,
or it's something they don't know they need yet, but you think they need it and they'll appreciate it.
They don't ask for it directly, but people want they want more privacy, right? Mm-hmm. So they want Tor support, which is fine. I mean, I'll add that, but that comes with a lot of UX trade-offs because it's slow, right? Mm-hmm. So this is some, like, people have been working on this as basically a privacy preserving way of, connecting to public nodes.
Which signing devices work best on this? And there's any ones that are popular that don't connect to it?
There's no way that anything works as good as the queue. The stuff that we did while you were on and the stuff that we did after we ended on my queue was like incredibly seamless. I'm not technical at all. I barely used the queue. I think that was like the second or third time I turned it on.
So that's the one that's
my camera. But yeah, like that. Prop. It gotta be. I'd be surprised if it was something else.
Yeah. So queue is definitely the nicest. MVK sent me a queue to test with, so thank you. I was able to, use that. Before that, I had an MK4, so MK4 also works decently, but Honestly, I prefer using QRs to NFC. Like once you figure out exactly like where the place is to hit, NFC works, but QRs are faster and nicer. So definitely Q works the best. And then I'd say tap signer also works really well. So tap signer NFC is like really fast. Like you don't have to figure out where to tap it. That's the problem with the MK4 is like if you know exactly where to like put your phone to the MK4, it works. But until you figure that spot out, it can be a little annoying. Yeah, so I'd
How about
say
the Jade?
so.
The
No,
Jade does have a QR code reader, but it's not very well reviewed.
yeah, so that actually reminds me that's on the roadmap. So cold card products, and I don't know if you heard of Crux. It's like do it yourself hardware wallet.
Oh,
They both
Never heard
use
of it.
the BBQR standard for animated QRs. So I supported that because it's much easier to support. It's simple. But unfortunately, Jade and Foundation, they use a different standard called UR, which is more complex. I don't like it, but it came out before BBQR. So, there's some people using it, and that's been a pretty highly requested feature to support that. So that will be honestly, I'll probably support that before the Android app just because it should be faster. So yeah, that's another big thing. But you can still use it with hardware wallets that use it. You just can't use it with their QRs, right? So you can, if you want to shuffle files back and forth using iCloud, it's doable. It's just it's not the nicest right now.
yeah. Okay. That's good. I don't have any other questions. Praveen, that's
Oh,
great,
so I
man.
guess then it works for like the other one's a Passport. It works for Trezor.
Yeah, it'll work for Passport,
Ledger.
but that standard is different though on the
Yeah.
Passport. Yeah.
It'll work for the Passport, just not with QR. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if Trezor lets you. I don't know if Trezor and Ledger let you work with PSBTs directly, but we support the standard. So if they let you work with PSBTs,
Yeah.
we'll
Unless PSBT
for
is a ticker for a shitcoin, I don't think they're going to let you use it on either of those hardware wallets. So yeah.
And for anybody that doesn't know, PSBTs, like if you've ever done like the MK4 like moving files around with the SD card, like that's the file you're moving is the PSBT.
Yeah.
So QR is just another way of moving the PSBT.
It's a dot
Partially
PSBT file. Yeah, you can see it in your especially when you use Sparrow. If you're testing a hardware wallet that you've air gapped that SD card, you sign part of the transaction in Sparrow, part of it on the device. Yeah.
But even if you're using one of those other wallets and you're using it with Sparrow, you can use Cove as like a watch only wallet because from Sparrow you can show another QR for the descriptor. You can scan that and then you can use it as a watch only wallet. It's just the QRs become more necessary when you actually want to sign and stuff.
Yeah, it's becoming ubiquitous, which I like. If I was a little younger, I would have said no way. But now that I am seeing it used, I think properly, there's nothing better. It's way easier than any of the other stuff you can do in terms of like quick data transfer to, get two devices on the same page, right? There's not much you can do better than that.
Yeah.
Praveen, I appreciate you coming on. This was
man.
spur of the moment, and not only that, he's got a very tight schedule, so I don't want to keep him much longer because he's got
Fucking tight schedule. He just said he's taking a break. Tight schedule how?
I don't want to get into it.
I'm taking a break from Cove, but I'm doing other stuff, and I'm coming to Canada end of the week.
I don't want to say anything.
Corn Lords meetup. Corn Lords meetup.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got shit to do. So
Good
Praveen,
stuff.
appreciate
traveling.
you coming
It's
on.
gonna be the first time traveling with a baby. So
Oh man, fuck yeah. Yeah, no, I don't envy you, but we'll trade stories. I'm sure. I haven't done it yet, but I'm interested to see how things go for you. Yeah. All right, buddy.
That's it.
Yeah, thanks for coming, dude. I appreciate it. That was a nice chat there.
Yeah. Have a good one. Later.
Well,
Take
talk
care.
to you soon. Len, well done there. Good surprise. Yeah. When did you set that up? Like
This
10
morning.
minutes ago? Oh, this morning.
No,
Okay. Yeah.
This was before 7 a.m.
I love Cove. Praveen absolutely crushed that. Like the experience is clean, and I don't remember if we did it during the show, but for sure after. No, I think it was during because I was kind of like zooming around and trying to make it look pretty on the screen. He had the whole iPhone / Apple design language laid out, and he was sort of picking and choosing elements that his graphics guy was helping him with to put into the app to make it look like an Apple product. And Apple does a lot of things not so well, but man, the design language they use is like pristine. It is top tier, apex predator of UI, and that's really well done by him. I think the other thing I would say to people who are kind of like on the fence or are using blue or green, at the very least, you should download Cove, because more competition forces improvement. And if everyone is just using these other two wallets, then they're never going to get better. Meanwhile, you got a guy who's funded by OpenSats, so had to earn some of that funding by going through their board, obviously. And I think way over delivered on this, man. Way over delivered. It's a great product, and I don't use a lot of mobile based stuff for Bitcoin, but the sort of walkthrough that he gave me and the experience I've had with it since, it's outstanding. You're not going to find a better wallet than this on the mobile side. Period. End of story.
All right, so we don't have that much to talk about, so that was quite a bit of time we dedicated to that. But I still have a few stories I want to go through. Coinbase.
Yeah.
They are making some news this past week because of their new Coinbase One card. It's the name of it, Coinbase One. Mm-hmm. And according to Coinbase, this is a new credit card exclusively for Coinbase One members, offering up to 4% Bitcoin back on every purchase. It's a partnership between Coinbase, Cardless, and First Electric Bank, and it runs on the American Express network. Don't leave home without it. And that's all from according to Coinbase. So if I got that wrong, that's Coinbase's fault.
Yeah.
This is an interesting product. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, interesting, nice. Maybe I'll buy it. Maybe I'll use it," and which is fine. But and I'm all for stacking more corn. Finding new ways to do it is great. But we have to also remember too all the bullshit that Coinbase has put us through and over the years, right?
Boo.
Right, like remember Base? They promote
obviously,
Base, right? The Ethereum layer 2 blockchain, and they're pushing this thing and saying Base is for everybody. Base is for no, it ain't for me, man. If it ain't for you too, Joey, but certainly it ain't for me. Take that bullshit elsewhere. And don't forget, they were part of the large block size camp back in the block size war. They were also one of the folks that signed the New York Agreement, and supporting any of their products is potentially supporting something that may not be for Bitcoin. They had every opportunity to be pro Bitcoin over the years. They were airdropping shitcoins, trying to educate people on shitcoins. Or remember that back in 2018, I think it was 2019. So using a product like this, it may be good, stacking more Bitcoin, but still in the end, you're funding or helping a product company that has not been very fond or very good to Bitcoin. And I don't know, just choose wisely.
Yeah. The only thing, okay, first of all, I like this comment that I just saw come through on Rumble. The Lord God Almighty is coming soon, so I need to repent. Thank you for that advice. That's good information. On the Bitcoin side, on the Coinbase One card side, love the cash back in Bitcoin. Okay, great, fine. There's interchange fees, and probably there's a way for Coinbase to take a little bit of that and give it to me on my purchase. I appreciate it. Here's the thing I don't like, though. You get more rewards, more Bitcoin back rewards, the more Bitcoin and other shit you hold on Coinbase. Did you know that? So they want you to hold stuff on their platform, and then they'll give you 4%
up
back.
To 4%.
So the question is, what are they doing with the stuff that's on their platform that they can give you that 4%? Right?
That's a great question.
That's the only question that matters. And this is a tale as old as time, Len, and by as old as time, I mean about 7 years old. That we've seen these rehypothecation, we're taking risks with your assets, we're giving you cash back, we're putting out credit cards, we're doing all this stuff. That's concerning to me. Other concerning thing, Coinbase has proven in the past to be somewhat political, right? Although Brian Armstrong did send out that email that went viral and gained him some infamy in some circles and just regular old fame in others about DEI and politics and whatnot in the workplace, he didn't want to have it. Coinbase has frozen accounts for people who are using Bitcoin in ways that certain entities don't like. Now, you could maybe make the case that that's a sort of political regime thing. And as the regimes become less interested in that, maybe Coinbase will become less interested in that. Is that a risk you really want to take? I don't know. Self-custody Bitcoin's pretty important, pretty easy, and I think, Len, pretty key to the whole thing. So I get it. You want to get your cash back in Bitcoin. If you're using the card anyway, maybe there's some value there. If you hold nothing on Coinbase, maybe you get 1% or something. That's not bad. I think most credit cards that are cash back give 1%. So if you want to get it in Bitcoin instead, I think that's a pretty good idea, but I don't think this is anything other than an incentive to push people to leave assets on the platform. And we'll see how that turns out. Coinbase is publicly traded, so they have to declare, I think, if they're participating in what could be characterized as risky activities with funds. We've seen in the past, issues with that sort of behavior and intermingling and commingling and things of this nature.
We've had publicly traded companies, large ones. Bear Stearns comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
There's Enron comes to mind. And they were cream of the crop at one time. They were very well respected, but creative accounting could hide a lot of problems. And not just didn't Enron have one of the major accounting firms out there?
Yeah, I mean, this is you said this to me before, and it is true. I don't think it is actually valuable, though. It's like these guys are just participating in the scam as much as anyone else. The big four, KPMG,
all it shows
Deloitte,
is
whatever.
that if there's enough incentive, you could fuck with the books,
for sure,
them all you want.
I agree.
And you could hide shit. And who's left holding the bag?
Yeah,
it's the last people that are holding on to that particular.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Boomer in the chat has a good question. Is this the first? I'll just read the full comment. We can talk about it. We're going to see more of this. Incentives to keep your sats on exchanges. We're in the first inning of this. Do you think that's true? I'm not 100% sure. Predator outlined this like borderline schizo scenario where Michael Saylor, Coinbase, and sort of people on that side of Bitcoin frame anything that's not on exchanges as dangerous to the ecosystem and dangerous to the dollar, and they want people to have their stuff held in ETFs and Bitcoin yield of whatever else is out there, and they want people to have to be incentivized to keep things in the gated what is the word I'm looking for? Sort of in the gated garden, right? The walled garden, as opposed to outside money like we've talked about before. I actually don't think that's true, but I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. You are a little more concerned about this type of thing than me normally. So what do you think?
They should release and provide us some proof that it's owned. Where is it? And
Coinbase?
Shit like that.
Coinbase?
Everybody should.
Everybody.
If we're dealing with public, money that should be publicly traded, right? Like companies that are, they could be more upfront. Like give us some more transparency. Don't fucking hide this bullshit. What's the point? This whole putting Bitcoin in a treasury stuff is getting out of hand now.
I got into a little bit of a spat today with a few friends, like Ben, who's a friend of the show. I met him at the Rockstar event. You may have too. He was with other Ben Perrin. Talking about the Bitcoin treasury companies and some of the, I think, marketing spin that they're putting on stuff. I fully admit that I could just be out to lunch on this and that there's something obvious I'm missing, but I don't think I am. And I want to just point to John's comment here. John, this is a great comment. Absolutely. Remember, everyone is a scammer. Everyone wants your sats. This is great. The first step is separate you physically but not legally from your sats. The next step is separation forever. I actually think there's probably some truth to that. It's hard to,
we've had
possession is 9/10 of the law. Is that
we have so much fucking evidence to show why you wouldn't want to trust anybody with it. And I don't want to go through them because I may get in trouble just rhyming them all off. But do some fucking research. Not you, Joy. Just the people out there, do some fucking research that want to do this. Like I have, if there's a company out there, publicly traded or not, I don't give a fuck, that goes out and uses its profits to buy Bitcoin, I'm cool with that.
Same,
right? Like if they wanted to direct some of their war,
it actually shows me that they're more advanced in the C-suite than perhaps companies who are not doing that.
And it could be like a very small percentage, like 1/100th of 1%. It could be something so small, or it could be a large amount, whatever the fuck it is. I respect that because they're not risking anything but what they've already earned. Like they went out there, they earned a profit. Now they have this, and they figure instead of doing stock buyback, instead of buying bonds, let's buy some Bitcoin. Respect if you do that, but to go out and do let's look at like MicroStrategy, for instance, like or the equivalent of all
these. Drop the micro and just do strategy. It's cleaner.
Or strategy. All these Johnny come latelys that are doing the same fucking thing. Yeah. Forgive me. Like, see if I have my thought process is wrong. They want you to buy their stock, right? They want you to go there and buy, and with the intent that it's going to increase the valuation because more people are like-minded and buy into it, and there's more there's more people that want it, and then the price of the stock goes up, and then as a result, the price of the company goes up, right? We lose you, Joey?
I'm still there. I don't. Maybe my cord is loose. Anyway, keep talking. I can hear you.
So that's the value of the company goes up. Now with that, they could then dilute and buy more corn, or they could play fiat games with this STRK or where the fuck, and just with that buy more Bitcoin, and with the purpose of then holding it or giving it to somebody else to hold to increase the dollar value of the companies. Like you want somebody to buy into this, and with the hope that the company doesn't lose the Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin continues to go up, that they don't rug you somehow, and you're able, at the end of the day, you're going to be able to pull out your fiat gains and do what with it? Probably buy Bitcoin. And you're going to, now you're going to have 5, 6, 7 figures worth of fiat, and you're going to buy Bitcoin cleanly, anonymously. Like the government's not going to know
It's
what
hard.
the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's impossible at that point. So why go through this whole fucking process? It's shitcoinery if you look at it. You're trying to somehow circumvent just buying Bitcoin, but do some other thing to come back to eventually to buy more Bitcoin when you can just buy it in the first place, clean, simple, and you own it. It's yours. Nobody can say anything. What the hell? We're losing you again, Joey?
No. I'm gonna figure it out here. Something going on with this.
So, like, that's the way I look at it. And why would anybody want to even do anything like this? You're just playing more fiat. You're just involving yourself more in this fiat environment. You see all the problems that come along with it. Again, I don't want to rhyme all these things, but we had something that it transpired in our nation's capital just 3 years ago. Do you want to be on the same side of that? Like, do you want to? No, you don't. If you have your Bitcoin, as long as you do it right, nobody can touch it. It's wonderful stuff. If you don't want to do it, you want to play fiat games, have fun staying poor. Hopefully it works out for you in the end, but somehow you're going to have to convert those shares into cash and that cash into Bitcoin at a time where probably it's going to be very difficult to do if we plan things or if we're plotting things out and it's going to go the way we think it's going. So good the fuck luck. Like it doesn't make sense to me why anyone would want to do it, but still
Totally
people
agree.
are doing it. And people are like all gaga over these fucking companies that are doing this. Like,
I don't think it's necessarily. This is the thing I said today, and I'll say it again now, and then I'm gonna just work on this camera for a sec. I broke the USB cable. That's the problem. There's a group of people out there who I think are broadly pretty sharp. Friends of ours. I'm in a couple of chats where people are talking about this, and there's a lot of people out there who invest in these companies who say they're doing it for the BTC yield, right? This new metric, this BTC per share, blah, blah, blah. I have a problem with this for a couple of reasons, but the big one is that I don't think that's actually honestly why people are investing in those companies. And I'll tell you why I don't think that. If you ask the BTC per share people, okay, what the price of MicroStrategy is, do you think they'd know it, give or take, 5-10%?
Maybe the hardcore would know it, but probably the majority.
The people who own MSTR, Len, and say
the majority won't.
You don't think they'd know the price of the stock they own and talk about all day on Twitter? You don't think they know what it is?
I think they represent a small number of people. I think they're hardcore.
I think the people who talk about Bitcoin per share, Bitcoin yield, and Bitcoin torque would know exactly or close what the price of MSTR was day to day. But I bet those same people have no fucking idea how many Bitcoin per share MSTR has at any given time. Why? Because only one of those numbers is really important to me and you and people who own the stock, and it is the stock price. Why? Because the yield is never distributed. There is no distribution. There is no sharing. There is no anything. In MSTR's documents, they make it explicitly clear that you own 0 Bitcoin. And in insolvency, you get 0 Bitcoin. Anything happens to the company and they go under, they have to go private, whatever. You get 0 Bitcoin. Nothing in Bitcoin. Okay, so if that's the case, what does that BTC per share mean? It's MicroStrategy's buying Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Good, like that. But to say to people that they are getting Bitcoin yield is misleading. What's happening is your shares represent more Bitcoin in terms of MicroStrategy's assets than they did before. That's fine, but it's not assets in the way that it's being described, and it's not a yield in the way that it's being described. It's marketing, which is okay. If you want to be a marketing, if you want to win on marketing, that's okay too. I'm fine with that. But no one is actually buying the stock for those reasons. Why are they buying it, Len? Because it's outperforming everything else. And it's outperforming everything else because right now that marketing is working. But if and when it stops, it's going to stop hard. And it's going to beat a lot of people into the turf. And it's not about, I see like stuff about the MNAV, the multiple above net asset value is good or bad. Like
it will go down hard, but they're going to hold. I'll give them credit.
They might
here.
hold. You think they'll hold? Yeah.
I think they will hold. Maybe. I'll give them credit here that they probably will.
Okay, talk a bit. I gotta mute my mic and get another wire into this camera.
I can't say the same about all these other companies that are doing the same, that are just picking up and trying to copy the MicroStrategy playbook. If there's a huge drawdown in the price of Bitcoin, they're buying now in the 107, 105, whatever the fuck they're buying in. Is there a possibility next year, 2 years, 3 years that the price of Bitcoin is below that, significantly below that? Possible. And if that does happen, what happens? What's the possibility of these companies then starting to flood the market with Bitcoin because they just want to liquidate what they have because they're not as hardcore as strategy is with holding onto the Bitcoin, and that's going to create a whole new set of downward sell pressure for the price of Bitcoin and just negative flywheel effect. And there you go. You have more and more people selling Bitcoin, and it just continually drives down the price of Bitcoin. And that's what I fear is going to happen. Is that a good or bad thing? The price is irrelevant in a lot of things. What really matters to me is how many sats I have. What's the value of it? I know over time it's going to go up.
And like you don't have to worry about like creative accounting to tell you that you're up in sats per share, you're up in yield.
I just want to know how many sats I have. I don't care about share. It's just I would just period.
I think you're right, and I would just also point to one other thing. Okay. I say this all the time. I'm going to say it again because I think it's an important signpost. MicroStrategy has engaged in a ton of very complex, let's call it complex
fiat wizardry.
It's financial engineering. Let's call it. Okay, we'll be as flattering and as neutral as we can. I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but to pretend that this is not novel is wrong. To pretend that this is proven is wrong. And to pretend that a 2 or 3 year track record at a time when stocks and Bitcoin are tied more closely to M2 than anything else is, I think, also wrong. Okay? So those three things you can't ignore. I will point again to, as the strategies have become more complex from MSTR, the willingness of Saylor to engage with anyone who doubts him has decreased to zero. There's an inverse correlation between those two things. And I'm waiting for him to engage with somebody with chops who understands how this works, how it might fail, and how the BTC per share metric is really just marketing, And I was accused. I don't want to say accused because I was talking to people who were being very cordial with me, Stefan Livera and Logical Bitcoiner and a few others this morning. I will admit that, like I said, maybe I don't get it or I'm missing something. I will also admit that maybe this is a semantic issue that I am overreacting to, but I will tell you that the only reason you should be buying MSTR is because you think the price is going to go up. Anything else, any other reason for which you are buying MSTR is incorrect.
No. Even if you think it's going to go up, what's the end game for an investor? What's the end game?
No, you got to sell. You got to sell. Yeah. I know. I totally agree.
What are you going to do with said money once you sell? You're going to buy a car, you're going to buy a house, you're going to buy Bitcoin, maybe all the above.
Whatever,
maybe,
yeah.
How difficult is it going to be moving forward to buy a large amount of Bitcoin with all the spoils of the gains from this selling of the...
that's another angle to take, right? You never know how difficult it'll become.
This is the fucking angle because this is it. Because everything else up until this point is meaningless because if you can't use that money to buy corn, it's fucking... This whole thing is just... It's just exercise in wasting time.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And you keep that money, you keep sloshing around in that fiat system. But if you can't take out that money because the bank says, no, you can't. Go to the bank today and try taking out 15 grand. They'll say no.
I tried to take out 7 today. Got a hard time about it.
I don't want to. Allegedly, you went to those.
Yeah. No, I went to the bank. I ended up getting the money. But yeah, everything is a fight. You're right. Everything is a fight.
This is your fucking money, man.
Everything's a fight.
And 7,000 today is what is worth tomorrow, 2 fucking years, 3 fucking years from now. That 7 grand will be less than it is today. Yeah. And you're going to be fighting for that. And they'll say no. and I made so much on MSTR, and I'm going to be able to buy Bitcoin. Good luck. I mean,
Yeah,
I hope
maybe.
you can, but if you can't, you just missed out on the boat for buying it fucking right now. And
Yeah.
because of that, you'll be still in fiat. Good fucking luck. If you want to do it, all the more power to you. All I do is I just lay it out the way I think it's going to happen. And if it happens, great for me. If it doesn't happen, great for you.
Yeah. I don't even remember how we got on this topic. How did we start this?
We're talking about
Coinbase. That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
Let's one last quick story. I love this fucking
Okay.
dollar here, the Singapore dollar. Tether. They plan to open source its Bitcoin mining OS. Or you heard about this one?
Yeah.
MOS? I don't know. I'll call it MOS.
What do you think? What do you think about this?
I think it's interesting. I think there's a story behind this all, right? Now, for people who are wondering what the fuck this is, they plan on releasing this for everybody to use. It's going to be available Q4 2025. And Tether, what are they? They're a for-profit business. They're not a charity. They're for-profit. So why would they do this? Would they do this to appease Bitcoiners? Are they open source maxis? Maybe. I think there's a third angle to this.
Okay.
Do you remember not too long ago, Swan Bitcoin was dealing with them? A bunch of employees that were in the mining that they fucking left Swan and started up a company. Forget the name of that company, but they started up that company.
I do remember.
That was aligned with Tether, and then there was a lawsuit launched by Swan. And I think this is a way to prove that there was no intellectual property taken from that whole exodus of employees. Like through this, you could analyze the code line by line and do a comparison to see if there's anything with Swan's alleged Bitcoin mining operation. And if there is none, then the lawsuit would then just fall on its wayside. There's no basis for it to go through. I think this is just a way to deal with legal problems. And it's a simple, easy way to do it. It's not going to cost them very much to do it. And at the same time, it looks good in the community. Look, we're open source guys. And so it checks off a lot of boxes. I think it's to appease the lawyers and to deal with this lawsuit. That's my guess.
Maybe. No one does anything for free, right? So there's some self-interest here somewhere. The best part about this being Tether is that even though this would otherwise kind of be a 24-hour, if not less, story, there's so many people who want Tether to fail that someone is going to poke around in this over the next few days and see if they can find something like that. And we might get lucky, but I don't know the legal ramifications of something like this. I don't know if it would, prevent them from being the target of some.
If there was intellectual property that was a claim that was
don't
stolen,
know. I don't know.
Well, proof is in the pudding. Here's the code. If there would be anything that matches, Swan's.
Yeah, people are pretty litigious. Like I don't know if that's enough to say no.
It's it's there for everybody to see. And you could do easy comparison. You could have somebody look at it and say, look, there's something here that's very similar, or they're so far apart.
Yeah,
so
maybe. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens anyway. But Tether is like expanding in all directions right now. And people, I think, are still pointing to they don't have the reserves. Like if you're a Tether bear, you have a lot more ammunition now to see what these guys are, or to see if you can bring these guys down, given the number of things they're expanding to, whether it's the 21 thing or USDT in America or whatever. There's tons of opportunities now to be looking at these guys with a critical eye that you just didn't have even a year ago. So the Tether bears need to up their game. It's time to stop looking at whether or not Tether is backed 1-to-1. There's some other things here that you should be looking at if you're trying to take these guys down.
Trying in public.
Boomer in the
what
chat.
What the fuck is this?
Crazy, man.
But did you even see
I saw
that, and then Charles Cardano was saying that so he's saying he's gonna fucking start selling some of his
100 million ADA for Bitcoin
to buy
like
what?
Yeah.
Bitcoin and
Shocker.
USDC or USDT for like if your asset is gonna outpace Bitcoin, then keep it. But the fact you're doing this is admission that your fucking shitcoin is not gonna do it. Like, and they're saying that they're doing this with the intention of buying more ADA in the future. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What can I say, man?
Like,
there's
just
nothing
capitulated. And
nothing
if anybody else
surprises
is
me.
buying fucking ADA after hearing this, you are a fucking idiot.
Do you know
There's-
Hoskinson is like 28 or 29 or something like that? He's like apparently super young. I
don't give a
maybe he's
shit,
not
young,
that
right?
young, but he actually looks just
so
terrible.
fucking dumb. If anybody out there is gonna say, I'm gonna buy some more, idiot, you're a fucking moron. This guy's fucking buying Bitcoin, and he's the guy that's part of the project. If he's doing this, fucking sell all your shit coins and buy Bitcoin. Nothing else fucking matters. Sell your everything in your TFSA, RSP, 401k, all that bullshit. Just buy corn. Fuck this all. We know
So
it's
pretty
corn.
crazy. I'm looking at the age of these people. Hoskinson is 37. He looks like he's about 45. Garlinghouse, the Ripple CEO, looks, I don't know, fairly young. How old do you think he is?
I don't even know what he looks like. So I'm gonna
Really? He's 54.
50?
Oh, 54. I would have thought he was like in his mid 40s.
You put him in a line of two people, have a 50-50 chance to guess who the fuck it is.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I
what he
will
looks
say,
like.
so Paulie is saying in the chat that he's asking how shitcoins are still a thing. One of the things I really like about the Bitcoin treasury companies is they are for sure taking the wind out of shitcoins this cycle. And everyone can see it, especially the Ethereum guys. They can fucking see it more than most. Because Ethereum used to be the high beta Bitcoin, and now it's just dead in the water, along with all this other garbage. So I'm enjoying at least that part of the Bitcoin treasury companies. Anyway, you want to go over to notables here? 56 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. God bless. Good night. All that good stuff. If you're on video, stay with us. If you're anywhere else, come back tomorrow for the back half. Until then, we will talk to you later.
And don't be an MSTR baiter.